Everyone, please check in.
I'd like to call the Butte-Silver Council of Commissioners regular meeting for Wednesday, December 21st, 2022 to order. Clerk, can we please have a roll call?
9 present, 3 absent.
9 present, 3 absent. Please note that Commissioner Mankins, Commissioner Reardon, and Commissioner Anderson are absent from tonight's meeting. Commissioner Sorge, could we please have a prayer and pledge?
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, fellow commissioners. Almighty God, we implore you, look upon us and guide us this night as we make decisions which so greatly affect our community of Butte-Silver Bow. Direct our thoughts, words, and deeds so that we please you and best serve our fellow citizens. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I would move to approve the minutes that occurred the December 7th regular meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from December 7th. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9, excuse me, 9 yea, 0 nay.
9 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. We don't have any items not addressed on the agenda tonight, so we'll move on to the Chief Executive's report. Welcome to the shortest day of the year and the coldest day so far this year until tomorrow night. So this will be my last regular meeting of the year and the last regular meeting they'll be running with Madam Chair. So, and along with Colleen, I want to say, thank you for everything that you guys have done. I want to thank Colleen for the many years of service that you've given us, that smile every time that you greet us. The service that you give is definitely going to be missed and hard to replace you for sure. And I want to take this time to thank Madam Chair for her mentorship for me in helping me understand how to run these meetings, from the first meetings when we were in the pandemic to coming back to meetings in person, and although we always didn't agree on all things, I always knew where Cindy's heart is, with our community, and I think our community is better for her leadership. And so I know that both of you are not going anywhere, just getting out of the public eye a little bit, and so you're going to be missed. And both of you have made a great impact to our community, and so Mr. Walker has big shoes to fill, and whoever replaces Colleen has big shoes to fill as well. So thank you for everything you've done for me personally. Yeah. So going on, I'll talk a little bit about 1923. For those of you guys didn't see it, I thought Butte was well portrayed in there, and there were some people that got some little cameos in there, and it was fun to watch. And I think a lot of people said it was hard to watch because you're looking for all the people that you might know, and then had to go back and watch the storyline again. But I think it was very well done, and it's kind of a neat thing for our community to see that, and the notoriety that has brought into us. So kind of moving on, Senator Tester, as we talked about at the last meeting, he is working and he introduced a bill to the Senate to help us get our PILT funding back. It was in the federal spending bill, and so there was a little bit of resistance to that. So he put it as a standalone bill. It was passed today, and is going to the Congress for their passage, and it looks like there's going to be bipartisan support to that, where that'll be about $1 million coming back to Butte-Silver Bowl over the last 2 years that we were missing that funding. So once again, I can't thank the senator enough for his efforts, and as I think Eric Nyland from Senator Tester's office, there's probably no other community in the United States that has had their name spoken more on the Senate floor than Butte has this last year. So we thank him for bringing that attention for us at that time, or right now, and all the other times that he's done that. So during my chief executive's report today, I'm asking Eric Hassler to come up and give us a quick report about. I know that everybody saw that there's a report out about the playgrounds and the daycares and the testing that they had done, and so ARCO is supposed to come in and do a full comprehensive report to us in January, but I asked Eric to come in and just kind of give you an update about what that testing was about and why we ended up where we're at. So I'd like Director Hassler to come up and just give us a quick update. This is not going to be a comprehensive analysis of it, but just kind of speak to why they tested the playgrounds and why they were testing the daycares. So Director Hassler, if you could just give us a little quick update.
Thank you, Chief Executive and members of Council. For the record, I'm Eric Hassler, the Department Director for the Department of Reclamation and Environmental Services. As JP said, I'm here to speak a bit about the park sampling aspect that has been done. That was agreed upon underneath the CD to be conducted as part of the Residential Metals Abatement Program, but due to the fact that it was kind of a one-time event and it was not part of our existing allocation agreement, it was agreed upon that Atlantic Richfield would conduct this particular aspect of the RMAP. So you may have heard, and I would hope we all have heard, that they had went through originally and did the schools and the playgrounds and open spaces associated with the schools and conducted the remedial projects during 2022. Those are all complete as of this point. And then also with the daycare aspect, they're working with the owners and operators, and we have been in about a half dozen, only one of those of which needed to have any work done so far, which has already been addressed. But the parks was a redo is probably the best way to describe it. They were all looked at in the 90s, really about 1995, but the sampling protocols have changed, mainly the increments and how many samples you pull per square footage. So they went a little bit more condensed sampling aspect, and also they went to depth. So that was different from what was done in the 90s. They had only looked at the surface soils, which was the top 2 inches at that point. So underneath this effort, they went 0 to 2, 2 to 6, and 6 to 12. And they didn't do that from the actual surface. They went to the native soil, so whatever materials may have been in place for like a playground area, sand, wood chips, or a garden area, whatever it would be, they went to native soils and then went 18 inches down from there. So as JP had mentioned before, Atlantic Richfield will be here At your first or second meeting in January, we're pushing for the first to give a whole comprehensive presentation on this work and a schedule as to when it'll be implemented. All the sampling has been conducted at this time. It's a wide variety of where we saw issues, but not a lot of issues in the grand scheme of things. There's about 90 acres of parkland that was sampled, and about 2 acres needs to have some work. A couple of those weren't what I would consider parks. One was an area in Walkerville that has some playground equipment, but is not an authorized park. One is the driveway into Rocker Park. One is a flower bedding in Clark's Park. So you kind of see the variety of the extent that they went to in their sampling, but I will wait for them to provide a more comprehensive presentation. If you have any questions at this point in time, I'll gladly answer them.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. And so there's no real Q&A on this, but I just wanted you to be able to come in and do that. And I appreciate Eric coming in and giving that update. I didn't want commissioners to not have some of the information. So if people are asking you in town why the sampling was happening and things like that, since AR was not coming until January, I wanted you to have a little bit of an update of what was going on with that. So thank you for being here, Director.
Thank you.
All right. With that, I just want to close with, I want everybody to have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year before we get into the conclusion of the Chief Executive's report, and we will move on to get through this nice cold night here. So, okay, so we'll move on to Section 1, bid openings, public hearings, presentations. Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, I'm skipping on you on my last one here. I'll call for any public comment. If there's any public comment, please step forward, state your name and address, and what you'll be speaking on. Seeing none, now we'll move to Section 1. Bid openings, public hearings, and or petitions. We have 2 bid openings today. County Attorney Joyce, do we have proof of publication?
Mr. Chief Executive, there is proof of publications for both bid openings and for the public hearing, and they all appear to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce. So in bid openings, our first one is communication number 2022-569, Mark Neary, Public Works Director, requesting Council of Commissioners concurrence to schedule a bid opening for December 21st, 2022 for a bucket truck for traffic control in the Roads Division. Director Neary.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. The bucket truck, it looks like we only have 1 bid turned in, and it's from Altec Industries out of Creedmoor, North Carolina.
Mr. Chief Executive, there is a bid bond from a licensed surety company in the amount of 10%, and it does appear to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce.
Chief Executive Gallagher and Commissioners, the total price is $181,825.00. $181,825 even.
$181,825 and no cents. Correct.
Tongue twister.
Yep. Thank you.
That's the
Okay.
only that's the only bid on the bucket truck.
Commissioner Shaw. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Sorge.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Chief Executive. Must be the night. Mark, does this truck require a CDL to drive?
Commissioner Sorge, Director Neary.
Commissioner, thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Commissioner Sorge. No, it will not.
Great.
We kept it under the GVW, hopefully,
Perfect.
for that reason.
Good enough.
Thank you, Director Neary. I think we have frozen tongue syndrome tonight. So, all right. So, Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. This time I move that we refer the singular bid opening for communication 2022-569 and await their response to this body.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to refer to Public Works, is that correct? Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9 yea, 0 nay.
9 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to our second bid opening, communication number 2022-570, Mark Neary, Public Works Director, requesting council commissioners' concurrence to schedule a bid opening for December 21st, 2022 for a camera truck for the Metro Maintenance Division. Director Neary.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Commissioners, looks like we have 5 bids for the camera van. So is this who this is from here? Oh. Okay. Okay. The first bid is from Enviro Clean Equipment from Kuna, Idaho. Let's see, bond. Let's see a bond.
Oh, I think we found it.
Mr. Chief Executive, there is a bid bond in the amount of 10% from a licensed surety company that appears to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce.
Chief Executive Gallagher, the total price is $241,194 even. $241,194.
$241,194. Thank you.
Okay.
Same company anyway.
So the second bid is from SWS Equipment out of Frenchtown, Montana. And they sent in 2 bids. One's with the spec, and according to when they dropped off the bid, the other one was a different offer. I don't know exactly what it means, but open them both. Maybe one's out of spec with some different ideas, I don't know. What's that? You tell me.
Mr. Chief Executive, there is a bid bond in the amount of 10% from a licensed surety company that does appear to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce.
The total price is $239,882.88. $239,282.88.
So that'd be $239,282.88. Thank you.
Yeah.
Same company.
Same company.
Mr. Chief Executive, there is another bid bond from the same company, from a licensed surety company, in the amount of 10% that does appear to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce.
This total is $299,408.88. $299,408.88.
$299,408.88. Thank you. We'll put in a few more options in, maybe internet on the camera. Be interesting to see what the difference is.
Chief Executive Gallagher, this bid is from Aries Industries out of Waukesha, Wisconsin. I'm glad there's not a time limit. I can't find it.
Our instructions to bid over sealed tab or bid bond.
I think they do say that, but
We just don't fill-
I don't see one.
not fill that one.
sheet's in there, but it's not filled out.
So it looks like Aries Industries did not send in a bid bond, so we can't read the total bid on that one. Okay,
The next bid is from Normon Equipment out of Great Falls, Montana.
Looking through it.
It says right here, bid bond.
Mr. Chief Executive, there is a bid bond in the amount of 10% from a licensed surety company that does appear to be in order.
thank you, County Attorney Joyce.
Should just give it to him. Chief Executive Gallagher, the total price is $271,965, $271,965 even.
$271,965. Thank you, Director Neary. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I would move that we refer these four bids back to the Public Works Department for their recommendation back to this body.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to refer back to the Public Works Department. Is there anything on the question? Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I guess my question is, when you're bonding to buy vehicles, what are you bonding? I mean, you know, you're buying vehicles. What are you bonding? What's the reason for bond when you're buying a vehicle?
Commissioner Fisher, I'm sure, should we go to the County Attorney Joyce? Do we know? I don't know the answer to that. Otherwise, I'd have to
Mr. Chief Executive, Commissioner Fisher, I mean, the purpose of the bid bond is to just make sure that they can comply with all the bid requirements and be able to deliver the equipment and meet the specifications of the equipment.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce. Follow up, Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Thank you, County Attorney Joyce. I agree with that. So these bids are FOB Butte, Montana then? The freight's included?
Commissioner Fisher, Director Neary.
Idaho.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Neary. All right. Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9 yeas, 0 nay.
9 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to public hearings, we have one tonight, communication number 2022-571, Karen Malotny, Butte-Silver Bowl Health Officer, requesting council commissioners' concurrence to schedule a public hearing for December 21st for the purpose of amending the fiscal budget 2022-2023. Budget to allow for increased expenditures and unanticipated revenue resulting from an amendment to the immunization grant. Do we have proof of publication?
Mr. Chief Executive, we do have proof of publication. It does appear to be in order.
Thank you. So, Health Director Malotny.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher, Council Commissioners. For the record, Karen Malotny, Health Officer of Butte-Silver Bowl. Tonight I'm requesting permission to amend the budget for 22-23 to accept unanticipated revenue for our immunization program. This would add an additional $289,611 for our COVID and monkeypox immunization efforts. And it was awarded to us or given us the opportunity to get after our budget was already set. So.
Thank you, Karen. Is there any questions of commissioners? Seeing none, I'll open the public hearing. First, I'll call for proponents. First call for proponents. Second call for proponents. Third and final call for proponents. Next, we'll call for opponents. First call for opponents. Second call for opponents. Third and final call for opponents. I'll close the public hearing. Okay. Moving on to petition. We have one petition tonight, petition number 2021-03, David Gary, Land Records Coordinator, for petition to close and vacate a public right-of-way, has been filed with the Planning Department as provided for and within the ordinance number 362 and Butte-Silver Municipal Code, section 12-06-010. I believe Director Pipinich is with us tonight to explain what we're doing here. Director Pipinich.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Members of council, for the record, I'm Dylan Pipinich, the Planning Director. It's kind of been a while since we've had one of these, so this is a request to vacate. It's a, I guess it's a street. It's an unimproved street. It was never constructed. So the typical process for this is we solicit comments from Butte-Silver Boat Departments, utility companies, and such. And what has happened in the past is that council refers it to the Public Works Committee, and we discuss those comments there, and then they report back to the council. And if we decide to move forward, we have a public hearing.
Okay. Thank you, Director Pipinich. Any questions of commissioners? Commissioner Sorge.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Dylan, do I understand this right, that both the fire department and public works are objecting against this?
Commissioner Sorge, Director Pipinich.
Mr. Chief Executive, Commissioner Soares, yes, they both returned letters in opposition of vacating the street.
Thank you, Director Pipinich. Okay. Any other questions of commissioners? Seeing none, Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. This time I move to place petition number 2021-03 on the Public Works Committee and hold it there.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to place on Public Works Committee. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Commissioner Thatcher. I think we're missing. And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9 yea, 0 nay.
9 yeas, 0 nay. Motion passes. Moving on to section 2, consent agenda, A1 through 4 and B1 through 13. Do we have any friendly amendments and or segregations? Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I would like to segregate communication number 12, 2022-585.
That's communication, that's number 12, communication number 2022-585. Do we have any other segregations? Seeing none, Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move to approve consent agenda section 2, A1 through 4 and B1 through 13, with the exception of item 12, which is 2022-585.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve tonight's consent agenda. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9 yea, 0 nay.
9 yeas, 0 nay. Motion passes. Moving back to item number 12, communication number 2022-585. Kristen Rosa, Tiffin Administrator, requesting Council Commissioners authorization to have Chief Executive Gallagher sign an amendment to the contract with Water Environmental Technologies. Do we have, Ms. Rosa, okay. Director Burns, I believe, will come up and speak to this tonight. Commissioner Fisher, would you like to ask a question here?
Yeah, thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I guess my concern was that we're amending a contract that was less than $80,000, and now we're asking to add $100,000 in. In order to do that, I think you'd have to bid the contract because it's over $80,000. Now, I'm not sure about this, and I just want a point of clarification, and thank God Karen's here. Otherwise, I would just wait and refer it to next week, but she's out in the cold, so she might as well tell us about it. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. Director Burns?
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher and Commissioner Fisher, members of council. So this might be something we have to discuss at further, and that would probably be fine. This contract with Water Environmental Technologies went through a request for qualifications and then a request for proposal process back into 2020 to do an infrastructure analysis for the TED, the South Butte TED. And that analysis was under $80,000. You were correct. It was about $79,000. And that analysis identified all of the infrastructure projects that we might want to take on in the South Butte TED and prioritized those, came up with cost estimates for each one of those different projects. This would be the next phase of that, and it would be to do the design and engineering work on the road project that has been identified as the #1 priority in that area for North Parkmont. And I think you probably all have driven on North Parkmont and understand the need. And it's a complete rebuild of the road. It's not just a resurfacing, it's just not a grinding down, it's a complete rebuild of the entire road and laying infrastructure and conduit underneath. And so their estimation for services to design and engineer that next phase is what this contract amendment was about. But if we need to confer further on this and understand if we're making sure we're operating correctly, we can definitely do that and hold it tonight and let us dig through that.
Thank you, Director Burns. Follow up, Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Director Burns, do you know if this is the first amendment that's been made to this?
Commissioner Thatcher, Director Burns.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher and Commissioner Thatcher, members of council. Yes, it is.
Follow up, Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Okay, because I'm just confused because I found the original professional services agreement back from 2020 that was approved on November 18th by council. I guess I'm confused why we are amending a service agreement that has a termination date of November 18th, 2021, when we are in 2022.
Yeah, correct.
Commissioner Thatcher, Director Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive and Commissioner Thatcher, members of council. There may have been an extension for time, but I don't have that in front of me. But that would have been the only amendment, would have been an extension for time. There has not been an extension for additional cost.
Thank you, Director Burns. Follow up, Commissioner Thatcher.
I guess so. Is it relevant to? I mean, I'm all for it, and I'm not against this at all. Is it relevant to be having this conversation if we are talking about a contract that's essentially null and void at this point?
Commissioner Thatcher, Director Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive and Commissioner Thatcher. I don't believe the contract is null and void or terminated yet.
Thank you, Director Burns. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Thank you, Karen. I'm sorry we had to drag you out this cold evening. So I think I would like to maybe refer this to the committee of the whole and let Karen and Kristen and others, give us a little more information. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for the TED. I'm all for North Parkmont. I'm very familiar with the area. I worked out at North Parkmont for years back, and I think it's a great idea. I just want to make sure that we're all heading in the same direction. So thank you, Karen. Thank you, Chief Executive.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher.
That was in the form of a motion to refer
I'll second
to.
that motion.
We have a motion and a second to refer back to the committee of the whole. Is there anything else on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9 yea, 0 nay.
9 yeas, 0 nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Director Burns, for coming up and speaking to them. Okay, moving on to Section 3, communications to be read and acted upon. We have communication number 2022-581. Clerk, can you please read the caption? I'm wrong today. Sorry. I'm trying to make Colleen do a little more work tonight.
She'll have plenty to read in about 2
Communication number
minutes.
2022-581, John Reardon, Council of Commissioners, District 8, and Citizens United Against Urban Decay in Butte-Silver requesting Council of Commissioners concurrence to allow a presentation on December 21st, 2022, council meeting to discuss current urban decay issue Many require an immediate action. Commissioner Reardon and this group respectfully ask Chief Executive Gallagher to form a special coalition to include commissioners, Butte citizens, and Butte-Silver Bow department heads to begin a joint effort to address these urgent issues. Commissioner Reardon is not here tonight. He is homesick. We talked to him about doing this, and so he asked to hold this in abeyance until we can to have some discussion at the next meeting here. So, Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, and it would be the next regular meeting, so we'll move this, I would move to hold communication 2022-581 until the January 4th regular meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to hold in abeyance to the next regular meeting. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? I don't think you got it. Okay. Anyone like to change the vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9 yeas, 0 nay.
9 yeas, 0 nay. Motion passes. Now, moving on to Section 4, ordinances and resolutions for final reading. We have, I believe, 3 tonight. And so we'll start with resolution number 2022-78. Clerk, could you please read the caption?
Resolution number 2022-78, a resolution granting conditional approval of the Belmont Minor subdivision of the City and County of Butte-Silver Bow, State of Montana, providing for the repeal of all parts of resolutions in conflict herewith, and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. This time I move to place Resolution 2022-78 on final reading and passed, having been read fully at length.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to place resolution number 2022-78 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9 yeas, 0 nay.
9 yeas, 0 nay. Motion passes. Moving on to resolution number 2022-79. Clerk, please read the caption.
Resolution number 2022-79, a resolution amending the budget during the fiscal year after conducting a public hearing at a regularly scheduled meeting of the Council of Commissioners in accordance with Section 7-6-4006 MCA, appropriating unanticipated revenue to the City County of Butte-Silver Bow from the Montana Health Care Foundation to be used within the Health Department for the Butte-Silver Bow Behavioral Health Systems Improvements and Sustainability Project, and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place resolution number 2022-79 on final reading and pass, having been deemed fully read at length.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to place resolution number 2022-79 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9 yeas, 0 nay.
9 yeas, 0 nay. Motion passes. Moving on to resolution number 2022-80. Clerk, please read the caption.
Resolution number 2022-80, a resolution of authorizing and approving the transfer of real property described as Lot 4, a Plat 305A of the Montana Connection subdivisions located in Section 25, Township 3 North, Range 9 West, Principal Meridian, within the City County of Butte-Silver Bow, Montana, to REKK Properties LLC, a limited liability corporation, in accordance with the provisions of the Butte-Silver Bow Municipal Code, and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Resolution 2022-80 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Second.
We have a motion and a second placing resolution number 2022-80 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9 yeas, 0 nay.
9 yeas, 0 nay. Motion passes. Moving on to Section 5, ordinances and resolutions for emergency suspension of the rules. We have 3 tonight. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move for the suspension of the rules for the purpose of passing Council Resolutions 2022-82, 2022-83, and 2022-84 by waiving subsection 7 of Rule 36 of the Rules and Order of Business of the Council of Commissioners, thereby having it considered for advanced passage without reference to the Judiciary Committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules for resolution number 2022-82, 2022-83, and 2022-84. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9 yea, 0 nay.
9 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving back to resolution number 2022-82. Clerk, please read the caption.
Resolution number 2022-82, a resolution authorizing the submission of an application for Praxis Sim Holdings LLC with the Department of Commerce of the State of Montana for Big Sky Economic Development Trust Fund Program under the terms of the Community Development Act of 1974, 42 U.S.C. 5301, as amended.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move to place Council Resolution 2022-82 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Second.
We have a motion and a second placing resolution number 2022-82 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9 yea, 0 nay.
9 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to item number 2, resolution number 2022-83. Clerk, please read the caption.
Resolution number 2022-83, a resolution amending the budget during the fiscal year after conducting a public hearing at a regularly scheduled meeting of the Council of Commissioners in accordance with Section 7-6-4006 MCA, appropriating unanticipated revenue from the State of Montana Department of Commerce to the Butte-Silver Community Development Department to be expended in the Community Development Fund as a pass-through agency for the State of Montana Department of Commerce Big Sky Trust Fund Job Creation Grant to Auditor Consulting LLC and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Resolution 2022-83 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Second.
We have a motion and a second place resolution number 2022-83 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Commissioner Fisher, there you go. It just went through. Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9 yea, 0 nay.
9 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to resolution number 2022-84. Clerk, please read the caption.
Resolution number 2022-84, a resolution amending the budget during the fiscal year after conducting a public hearing at a regularly scheduled meeting of the Council of Commissioners in accordance with Section 7-6-4006 MCA, appropriating unanticipated revenue from the State of Montana Department of Commerce to the Butte-Silver Community Development Department to be expended in the Community Development Fund as a pass-through agency for the State of Montana Department of Commerce Big Sky Trust Fund Job Creation Grant to BioSqueeze Incorporated and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Resolution 2022-84 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Second.
We have a motion and a second placing resolution number 2022-84 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9 yea, 0 nay.
9 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Please note all the dates of the calendar and other meeting in advance. And we will move on to any public comment on any item not on the agenda tonight. Seeing none, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signal by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Merry Christmas, everybody. Stay warm.